Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?
And welcome back after a long West Coast road trip to I'll Hang Up and Listen, everybody. It's been a minute since the first two games this season when they went 1-1 to start the year against Ottawa and Florida. Great road trip. I don't think many expected them to play as well as they did, getting wins against teams like Calgary, Vancouver, losing to Seattle there. Excuse me, at the end. But to go 3-1 on the road trip was a nice surprise. To come back from the West Coast 4-2. I just coming in tonight, I wasn't sure what to expect. Jet lag. I was absolutely hoping for a better effort tonight, which we did get against Montreal than what we got against the Kraken. Terrible performance up and down in Seattle. Better tonight, but I think you lose tonight because you didn't play with as much desperation as the Montreal Canadiens. You may have led a lot in certain statistics like shots on goal, but you definitely lost in the desperation column, and I think that was most evident in the final 2 minutes of the game where for the first. You couldn't even get the puck out of your own end. Jack Quinn with a huge mental error. He had like 20 feet in front of him to skate that puck into the zone across the red line. Shoots it before he hits center ice, ends up being an icing. You end up with a D zone face off. It takes you even more time to get the puck up ice and get Comrie out of the net. Just a lot of mental errors tonight. And again, just lack of desperation. Two different goals tonight, one by Montreal, one by Buffalo, where you watch them throw the puck at the net, whether it's a shot or, just you have no other choice. First one you saw, was it Gallagher had the first goal? Literally just put the puck on net. Just put the puck on net. Puck kicks off Comrie's, the break in his pad off the toe, hits Owen Power right the skate and goes in the back of the net. Like that's what happens when you throw the puck on net when you have no other option. And then Dylan Cousins, gets the puck off the pass from Bryson. Top of the circle, literally just takes a shot on net, gets tipped, and goes in top corner. Like I tweeted it out, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Quote Michael Scott, quote Wayne Gretzky, also Dylan Cousins. And I mean, for me, it's, I guess, you won a bunch of games, a handful of games here that maybe you weren't expected to win out when you played out West. And then you go into you come back home to Montreal. Fans are nipping at the bit to see you guys. You have a lot of Canadians fans in the house too. That's that comes with the territory. You have season ticket holders who sell their tickets, whether you agree with it or not, to make some of their money back on the season because they will pay top dollar for those tickets. And you want to come home and get a W. They just didn't have it in them. Again, they didn't play with nearly as much desperation as the Montreal Canadiens did. Eric Comrie had a phenomenal game in net again. I think one of the things that stood out to me the most was 100% his rebound control. Like, yeah, that first goal, I mean, that's just bad puck luck. Puck kicking off the break in your pad, hits Owen Power in the skate and goes to the bagger. You can't really help that, but he swallowed everything, man. Like he didn't really give up many second chances. And you kind of see the discrepancy in shots. Like, yeah, Buffalo had 45 shots to their, I forget what it was, but, because Comrie wasn't giving up many second or third opportunities. Like, he was swallowing the puck whole, eating it up, doing what you want your starting goaltender to do. And he gave him every opportunity to win a night. He was the best player on the ice for Buffalo by and far. And they just couldn't get him a win tonight, unfortunately. I've touched on it yesterday, and I'll touch on it again now, but I am all but done with this Casey Middlestat on the power play thing. I'm just over it. Like, the guy adds nothing to that side of the special teams fence. He may be a good penalty killer, but I get the importance of winning the face-off on the power play, and right now he is your best face-off guy, but figure it out, man, because he is just not going to get it done for you on the power play. Power play did go 1 for 4 tonight, but on the Jeff Skinner goal, really creative way to get a goal there. Jack Quinn airmailed it, sent up a meatball up in the air to the front of the net, lands right there for Jeff Skinner. Jeff Skinner makes a nice forehand, backhand move and goes right up under the bar for Buffalo's first goal of the game to tie it. And then, Montreal takes back the lead. Buffalo comes and ties it with it was 5 minutes left in the third. And then Josh Anderson off a very, kind of a broken up play where, you see Comrie make a huge save. Power hits it out with his glove, but can't get it outside of the zone. And then Anderson finds the puck and shoots it. I think it went over top corner. I also can't remember if that made it through clean or not. But regardless, just they did fight, but you need to win those games against teams like Montreal if you want to be relevant come near the end of the season. Where as Bills fans, I've said this a couple times, where we were always so used to in the drought looking at that playoff graphic and always being the team that was labeled in the hunt. If you want to be in the hunt at the end of the season, on the outside looking, and you have to win games like this. You just have to. Like, Montreal, you are a better hockey team than Montreal. Montreal, he had a good game, but you have a better goaltender, in my opinion. You have a better overall team, in my opinion. There's just no reason you shouldn't come out of that game against Montreal with 2 points, or at least one, getting that to overtime. But obviously 2 points. I think you should have been able to win that game in regulation. And again for me, it was about lack of desperation. You weren't getting bodies to the net. You weren't finding those second opportunities. You weren't making it hard for Montreal to see the puck. They even said it in the post game. Dylan Cousins said it, and so did Granato. Like, you need to play with some desperation in the offensive zone. You're trying to be too cute with the puck. I even saw Tage Thompson a couple of times trying to skate through too many guys. Sometimes it's not about being cute, not about making that extra pass. Just put the puck on net. You had 2 goals tonight where literally you just threw the puck on net and it's found its way to the twine. Like, that's hockey, man. Those are hockey goals. Like, a goal is a goal. You don't have to be too cute with it. You don't have to make every play in transition look fantastic, like we've seen a couple times this year. But you just need to be able to, generate some desperation. Being willing to take a beating in front of the net, and make it harder for their goalie to see the puck, like you have been in many instances this season. You didn't do that tonight, and you didn't deserve to win because of that. So unfortunately, did not go Buffalo's way. They come back into Buffalo, another home game against the Blackhawks. Pat Kane coming back home to Buffalo this Saturday. I will be in attendance for that game. Pretty excited. It'll be my first game of the season. This year was the first time I've missed the home opener, probably in almost 10 years. So I'm super pumped to get back in the arena, see what the atmosphere is going to be like. I imagine with Pat Kane coming to town, it's definitely going to be like an electric atmosphere. I think Sabres fans have been showing out as best they can. I do know with the holiday, with Halloween, it might be a little bit more difficult, on a Saturday. But I don't think that'll deter people from showing up. Hopefully not, at least. We do have a comment here from Paramat Pictures. Trade mitts for some kind of muscle. I'm not I can. Here's the thing. I get his 5-on-5 play has been it's been good, but outside of that, he's a good penalty killer. He's atrocious on the power play. You can find good 5-on-5 hockey players, man, and that are good penalty killers. He was an 8th overall pick. often injured. And just for me, it's just, how much longer are we going to wait for Casey Middlestat, especially when this contract is up? Like he's too streaky of a player. He's inconsistent. And most of all, like, those moments of just laziness and moments where he dogs it, much like last game, which, he's lucky, lucky that that was such a late ending and on the West Coast, because I would have came on this show and I would have fucking lost it. How his laziness led to that goal being disallowed on further on offsides review. Literally watch, Owen Power skate the puck into the zone, and I get, being bad and being terrible and just not being your night. There's a difference between that and being lazy. And that's what that was. It was being lazy. He was dogging it. And we've seen it in the past with Casey. We have, plenty of times like where he'll take a shift off here or there, or he just doesn't look like up to par, at the level he needs to be, or, he's just not big enough, gets knocked off the puck very easily. And he's been, one of the criticisms of him is, not coming. We saw Rasmus Dahlin in his second year, or second or his third year. He came into the season like 15 to 20 pounds heavier, and it was all like lean muscle. And the guy looked like, I remember that one picture of him playing ping pong in somebody's backyard in like swim trunks, and the guy looked like Ivan Drago. Like he was just massive. You need that stuff from Casey Middlestat, man. Like you have to put the work in away from the ice rink sometimes. And I'm not saying he doesn't do that, but it sure doesn't seem like it. Like, he doesn't get into the dirty areas of the ice. He doesn't, stuff you see Jeff Skinner do. That's not Casey Middlestat's game. And sometimes it just has to be. You have to be willing to take a beating. You have to be willing to play on both sides of the ice and get into the dirty areas. And that's just not Casey Middlestat's game. And, on a team like this, I think it needs to be for the culture that's being built here. You see players that stick up for one another, treat each other as family. I'm not saying Casey doesn't see this as that type of, like, see this as a family, but like it shows more often sometimes than it doesn't, at least in my opinion, where he isn't willing to go that extra mile. He's not willing to stand in front of the net and take a cross check or a slap to the shins or the back of the leg, in order to make a play in front. Like I don't see it. And I don't understand why we're still waiting to see this from Casey Middlestat. It's been 5 seasons. Like, and I get it. He's been injured a lot, but at the same time, like you see the flashes of what made him an 8th overall pick, but then you see flashes of like, I get it. Like, I get the criticism because you're just not getting that player, the player that shows that you're not getting that often enough. And we can't have players on this team that are willing to take shifts off. Like, you just can't. This team can't afford it. If you want to keep building on the culture that's already ingrained here by players like Alex Tuck and Kyle Okposo and Dahlin, Gergensons, you can't have players that are willing to take shifts off. And I'll say this, like, I haven't been overall before that dog shit effort a couple nights ago. I haven't been. I'll put it this way: I haven't noticed Casey Middlestat a ton, which isn't great, but isn't bad. Like, like he's not playing so well to the point where it's like we come out against like, holy shit, man, Casey had a great game, but he was also wasn't playing bad. I was like, fuck, man, like what is Casey doing out there? Like, holy shit, he's useless. Up until that night, like a couple nights ago, where literally just the laziness, really stood out in a situation where you got yourself on the board, and while in the process of scoring after the fact, they took a penalty, and you're going to go right back to the power play with some momentum. And he just completely just dogged it, glided back to the bench, and, full well looking at what was transpiring, Owen Power getting right out of the zone and puts his team off sides. So for me, it's how much longer are we going to deal with this until you have to say, Casey, you have to sit for a couple games, put Rasmus Asplund back in the lineup, or, whoever it is, like, keep these players hungry. Jack Quinn too, outside of that, like that flutter pass, the air mailed meatball to Jeff Skinner. I mean, Jack Quinn, had a game. Like, he didn't play bad, but again, he didn't stick out. And I just think that, and Peyton Krebs did not look good at all either, by the way. But I also think that's just for the lack of playing time so far this season. Some of these guys, like, and I understand you want to keep them hungry, but like, I need to see more Peyton Krebs. Like, I need to see that guy get into a rhythm and start to look like the player that, was so highly touted coming out of junior hockey, and, player we're excited about as the top prospect for the Vegas Golden Knights in that Eichel trade. He needs to start being given opportunity. I'm not like criticizing Granato, because obviously it's kind of like a rotating lineup right now with who sits and who plays. It's kind of like who wants it more, who wants it the most, who's going to play with the most desperation, who's going to play with more heart. I totally get why Finney Hennistrose has been in the lineup over some guys, because the guy plays with a ton of heart. He grinds every shift and he leaves it all out on the ice. Some of these players got to start doing that. You got to maybe, go up, play outside of yourself and do things that maybe are outside of your skill set that you're not used to. Lay down in front of a shot, maybe dive at a loose puck, face first, whatever it might be. And you need to put yourself in a situation where you make a play that normally you wouldn't make by doing something more outside your skill set. So I don't know what has to be done there, but, going into a game against Chicago, a team that's clearly trying to tank for Connor Bedard, you have to come out of Saturday with a win. No questions asked. You have to come out of Saturday with a 5-3 record. You have to come out with 2 points. I have a lot of high hopes for this team. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to make the playoffs, but you have to win these games that you should win. You have to beat the Montreal Canadiens. You have to beat the Chicago Blackhawks. You have to beat the Seattle Kraken, like, in order to even be in that conversation. Like, I get it, the West Coast trip, it's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of driving and flying around. I'll give them a pass to a certain extent on that. I'll give it, you're going to have a stinker here and there, but I just don't want to see laziness. Like, I don't want to see giving up on plays or shifts. Like, that's all I ask for. Just go out there and skate your balls off and play as hard as you can for 60 minutes. And even if you aren't the better team, even if you have a bad game, like, just don't let laziness and lack of effort become a habit for any single one of these players. So, got another comment here from Paramount Pictures. Not winning this one or Seattle is a prime example of we don't make the playoffs. We can't give games away that we should win. 100% agree. I just said that. Like, you can't give away these games. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that I think this is a playoff team, because I don't. But I do think that they are in the hunt team 100%. They could be on the outside looking in, and make games very interesting come the spring. Like, why not think like that? Like, I personally think you can. So with that being said, it's been on almost 20 minutes here. Keep this one short and sweet, because again, I don't think that the team itself, played with a ton of desperation tonight. And they just weren't the better team. And regardless of what shot count said, Montreal, especially for like a very much younger, inexperienced decor, they played very well on their own end. Again, they eliminated second chances, got pucks, made it easy for Montebo to do his job. And, granted, again, say Buffalo shot them, but, you weren't burying the chances you did have. That one Casey Middlestat chance, Darlene at the end there. If you want to win hockey games, you got to find ways to make those plays happen and get those pucks in the back of the net. And you have to, be driving that goalie nuts in the blue paint. You have to get in front of them, make it tough for them. They did neither of those things tonight. So, listen, I'll hang up and listen. It's been a pleasure. It's been fun to get back out behind a microphone this season. I'm super excited for what's to come with this hockey team, because win or lose, something special, I think, is getting ready to happen in Buffalo. This team has the right leadership group. Finally, they have the right coach. They have the right GM. I think all the cards are really full, like getting ready to fall into place for this team to be successful in the future. Whether that's this season or next, that's yet to be seen. It's a long season. We're only 8 games in, or no, sorry, no, 7 games in. So a long, long season to go. So let's not try and hang our heads too much here. Again, it's not like they got pumped by Montreal like 6-3. They lost 3-2. So again, a lot to build off here. Hopefully, this is a lesson learned, and we can't, be dropping games like this, teams like Montreal, anymore, if we expect to even be in the hunt by the end of the season. So, with that, again, guys, I'll be hang up and listen. It's been brought to you by Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. What's your outlet over on Georgia Boulevard for your Bills game day and Sabres game night needs? Get over to Outlet Liquor and buy a case. With that said, I am Duane Steinau. I'll hang up and listen, and you guys enjoy your night. Go Sabres.